Hello, everybody. Let's welcome to day 6 in Scientology. We're going to be talking today about why I don't believe L Ron Hubbard actually believes most of the things that he convinced everybody in Scientology about, number one. And number two, this origins of what he has told the people in the upper echelon, the higher levels, is exactly what this is all about. The origin of humanity, the origin of us, our spiritual beings. I'm going to talk about all of this because these two things for me link together. I don't really personally believe that L Ron Hubbard actually believes anything that he says. What I believe about L Ron Hubbard, to get straight to the point, is that I believe he is a man who studied the world, saw that people had a need for a God and a need for an understanding as to why we were here, had a need for guidance, and he decided to exploit it. That's exactly what my understanding is. Because as he said, it all started with him researching, going around the world, observing different kinds of people in different places. This is also another thing I'd like to understand. How is it that so many of these people in the Western world just had money to just be traveling around observing worldwide? I really want to understand that, right? I really would like to understand that, especially as somebody who is like traveling a lot recently. Like I am more aware, like now I'm a lot more aware of just prices of places because I've really been looking at prices of traveling to lots of places recently. And I'm just like, where do you have the money and then just the time to just be doing that? But that's a whole question for another day, right? Then again, if the enemy knows that this is what you're prepared to do and you're supposed to going to be in his kingdom, of course, he's going to fund you. Just like how the Lord will fund his own work in the name of Jesus. Anyways, so, so let's talk about him. I just think, right, and I'm going to explain this. I'm going to first of all explain this concept of why we came into existence, the real reason, because this is something he doesn't talk about. So we've been talking a lot about this interview that he did a long time ago in Zimbabwe, where he was a scripted interview as posted on Growing Up in Scientology, a YouTube channel by Aaron Smith Levin, I've mentioned a few times. And now we're going to talk more about this concept of, and in that interview, he was very careful. And as a lot of the Scientologists are, they're careful to say, these very vague statements about what Scientology is, where it comes from, what the purpose is, yada, yada, yada. But obviously, at a certain point, people get to certain higher levels where they now find out what this is all really about. And so I saw about this, it was also Aaron actually who was explaining this whole thing about Xenu. Now let's talk about Xenu, because this is where the theory of how we came to being is. Now, what I found, guys, with all fake versions of how we came to be as humans that are not the Bible, which is the truthful version of how it all came to be, there has to be a backstory, right? Because if there isn't, it's not going to satisfy our human understanding, because as humans, as we should be, God created us to be critical beings that can have our own opinion, that can assess things and see if we think it makes sense or not, right? There has to be a backstory, which is why every different religion has its own version of the story of how we came to be. Now, let's talk about this. So according to this theory, 75 million years ago, Xenu, a galactic overlord, I am telling the truth, guys, this is where this comes from, had a population problem and called in for tax audits as a trick to send all these people to Earth they're called Thetans. Right? And the disembodied spirits attached to us. Why is my note taking so horribly here? Oh, to send us to Earth with disembodied spirits attached to us. It's interesting that he uses the term disembodied spirits as well, because disembodied spirits is the same way you can describe demons. They are spirits without bodies. They are persons without bodies. Disembodied spirits. That's what demons are. So it's interesting, again, how we're having the same ideas, just with these very fundamental issues of lies here. So that's the whole theory as to how we came here. And essentially, our auditing that we need to do. Hold on. Let me. Have I prepared for this or have I not? Okay, so this is where we get the term Thetans from. So we are Thetans. There is nothing more powerful than a Thetan. Through various decisions, we have fallen away from our godlike power, and so we don't know who we are as Thetans, so we are trapped in this universe. So that's how we've got here. That's how we're stuck here. We are these Thetans. There is nothing more powerful than us. Goes back to the whole us being gods thing, which I've already addressed that in some earlier videos, so you guys can go and check that out if you're interested. And so that's where this whole theory comes from. Now, first thing I want to address here is there's just so much airy fairiness. There's so much airy fairiness here. Anyways, we'll come back to that. So that's his belief system. Now, the fact is, right, people, it seems, are more willing to believe. It's crazy to me that people would suggest that my belief in God is crazier than believing in something like this. And yet, how many Scientologists are there around the world? But my point being, this whole theory, before we even get into why I think this theory is problematic, let's go a step further, because they then went on to talk about, this was Aaron on Lex Friedman's show. He was talking about how what you're told, I prefaced this in the previous video, what you're told is that as a Scientologist, you are going to go through your reactive mind. If you guys don't know what this is all about, check out the previous video from yesterday. You go into your reactive mind. It's in the playlist, Scientology playlist. You go into reactive mind, you remove it. As soon as you remove your earliest, most traumatic event, then you can remove your reactive mind and you can move freely and be able to be in a state of, this is on this page, I know that for sure. And a state of being totally alert and about. So removing your reactive mind. So you're totally alert now. There's nothing stopping you. There's nothing stopping you from just doing whatever it is you feel like you need to do. Right. And so then you are told pretty much in Scientology that let's do these engrams, which we're going to talk about engrams as its own subject at some point. Then if you do these engrams, we go back into your reactive mind. We find the issues, the pain, the trauma. We remove it. We're removing your reactive mind. Then the idea is that the most earliest traumatic event is when you were born. If you can remove that memory of the day that you were born, then you're all clear, you're all good, you're all alert. But as Aaron Smith revealed, that is indeed the lie, because then what happens is you now move into these upper chambers of Scientology, where you go to another level, right? And then you're like, oh yes, you as the Thetan have to remove these levels, all these pain, this trauma, this reactive mind that you have. And then you as a Thetan are free now to hopefully now access the totality and the infinite amount of your spiritual, supernatural nature. But then what happens is, no, there's another level, right? Because now what you realize is that there are Thetans that are attached to you. So you actually have Thetans like yourself attached to you that you now need to audit yourself. So you now need to go into their reactive minds. I'm not making this stuff up, guys. I'm telling you exactly what is the belief system. And I'm going to get to the point of why I'm breaking it down and going in so much detail a little bit later. You have to break down all of their reactive minds in order for their reactive minds to be disappeared and for them to be free. And then once you get to that level, there's another level, because there's actually addicted Thetans, and those ones you couldn't see because you could only see the other ones. So now you need to deal with those ones. And then you need to deal with the clustered ones, which you couldn't see before because of the addicted ones. You couldn't see the clustered ones. Now you've got clustered Thetans that you have to audit. When I'm saying audit, you go into their reactive mind, you do all this thing, all these like therapy type of Scientology work of going into there and finding the memories, bringing it back. Now, bearing in mind, as you're finding all these memories, what's happening to the people in Scientology as they're doing this is those memories are becoming as if they're the memories of the person auditing them. Do you see what I'm saying? So you're now realizing things as if this is what has happened to you, because you're now delving into those things, reactive mind, that are attached to you. And now you're seeing those as your reactive mind. This is, for me, one of the most demonic things ever, because I know for a fact people are going into the spiritual world with this stuff. And this is probably breaking people. This is probably a lot to do with the entertainment industry as well, which we'll get there eventually. Then you get to what he calls OT7, which is the training to teach other people how to do the bits that came before. And then you go to OT8, whatever that stands for, which you go through all the past lives and recall. You go through all these past lives and you think that all of these past lives are you at OT8. So you're doing all this auditing of all these things. You're going through all these past lives that you now think are your life and you in your past lives that you have to audit, because you have to go back and audit as far back as all of your past lives in order to be able to be totally free, because all of these past lives are still attached to you. So the past yous also need auditing as well, right? And then you get to OT9, he says, where at this point, now you know who you are not. So basically you get there to realize that now you know who you are not, it's time to find out who you are. And there's not even anything that goes past that point as far as Scientology, as far as what's publicly known, according to Aaron Smith Levin. And what do I have to say about that? What I have to say about this is that I truly believe that L Ron Hubbard knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. He saw people, and he thought of the perfect strategy of destroying humanity. He thought of the perfect strategy to destroy all of us, to say, oh yeah, if I do this, if I get the people involved in this, I'll make it about helping overcome your trauma. I'll make it about help you to progress. Because as long as you're doing one of those two things, right, you're gonna cater to all of humanity today. Look at the world today, right? Look at what we're doing. Look at so much of the content that's out there. It's self-care, it's mental health, it's how to get help. If you look in whatever community you look at, both male and female, or it's how to progress in life, how to get yourself in a good routine, how to be this type of man, how to be this type of woman, right? All this stuff to help you to bring your life together. That's what he reels you in with. But then what nobody knows is that this is the doctrine that they was buying into, of this Xenu from 75 million years ago, who's a galactic overlord who had an overpopulation issue, flicked off half of however many people onto Earth. And then at some point we made some mistake that is also a very vague thing that we're not specifying. We don't know what this mistake was, but we made some mistake. Again, how do we correct a mistake that we don't know we did, right? At least for me in the Bible, I'm like, okay, good. So the mistake that we made, Eve, you should have listened to Adam. Adam, you should have killed that snake. I can see the understanding. I can see the solution. Great, move on, right? But then with this storyline, I'm like, I don't even really see what the purposes was here. What was this with this, with all the vague, and then we did something wrong. But then somehow from all of that, we've got down to, hey, we're going to help you to remove everything in your reactive mind and go through your pain and trauma and free you. Although we're not really going to, because it's going to be an endless pursuit of nothingness. And that's what the enemy is absolutely expert in. He's an absolute expert in getting us on these infinite pursuits of nothingness. And that's why I think L Ron Hubbard was truly sick, twisted man who was just enjoying the fact that he had studied humans enough that he understood us more than a lot of us understand ourselves, to the point that he just thought, let me just run an experiment on the world and see what happens. Let me just see if people will buy whatever I tell them. This Xenu story, he could have pulled out of nowhere. He could have literally pulled it out of nowhere just to see if people would fall for it, just to see how far he could go. And I truly believe that's what L Ron Hubbard did. I truly believe L Ron Hubbard saw the world, saw how influential people are, saw how helpless we are, and how shepherdless we are, which we talked about this in a video that I made today that was called Warning to the Winning Team, right? And I was talking about how, the thing about Jesus looking at the world with compassion and realizing, seeing that us as helpless and harassed and helpless, as my Bible says, and he filled him with compassion for people, right? And saying that we were sheep without a shepherd, right? I think L Ron Hubbard kind of noticed a similar thing in observing the world. And instead of, obviously he's not Jesus, so he would have never had the Jesus, way of dealing with it. But he decided, well, great, I'm going to absolutely exploit the hell out of humanity then, and just see how far I can go with this and see how much I can get away with, which also makes me understand why he kind of relates to Cecil Rhodes, because Cecil Rhodes kind of did a similar thing. L Ron Hubbard claims he was Cecil Rhodes in his previous life, and or says he thinks he was like Cecil Rhodes in his previous life. Cecil Rhodes kind of did the same thing, moves to a country because he was ill, finds himself in a certain business, starts mining. He was initially picking cotton, finds out he can start mining diamonds, figures, hey, let me just exploit this situation and start mining diamonds for myself over here, starts mining diamonds, thrives, and now it's that company still running even till now, And so, I just think to myself, like, this L Ron Hubbard dude is so heinously evil. I really don't even think he cares at all. And one of the things that sticks out to me about him is his lack of, like, when he was alive, his lack of involvement, because he says, oh no, I don't do any of the auditing, I'm not a practitioner. He's not doing the practitioning. It's like he's literally conjured up this experiment just to see how far he can get with it. And he's carefully, intelligently swerved all of the important questions that one could be asked of somebody doing something like this, such as, is this a religion? Yes, it is a religion. Do you believe in good and bad? Yeah, we believe good and bad, whatever, is the same thing that everybody else believes is what's good and bad. Do you believe in spirits? What do you believe about spirits? Oh, we believe spirits are the same thing as what everybody else believes spirits are. These are the things he was saying. He was so vague. Yes, it's a religion, but you can be a Scientologist and you can be a Roman Catholic. In fact, a lot of religions out there are both scientific and use Scientology and religion. And yes, we can also be used in healthcare. A lot of healthcare people have told us that they actually use Scientology in their hospitals and da-da-da-da-da. So Scientology is anything and everything for everyone and anyone. But then also it's a cult. I think this man was so freaking intelligent. And he took advantage of the ignorance and the trust of us as humans and our desperation. And this is what I want to point out. Maybe in this video, maybe this should be the point. Is that in life, guys, it's easy for us to talk about things that are coming our way. It's easy to talk about things that are our enemies and to be upset about what's going on in the world. But the fact is, as long as you are desperate, and you have immediately made yourself, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Perfect target for the kingdom of darkness, because the kingdom of darkness works on desperation. I've said this before. That's why, what are people always tempted with? Money, power, riches, money, power, and fame. It's always money, power, and fame, right? And if you can't get people on money, power, and fame, do what L Ron Hubbard is doing. Oh, we'll help you to fix your reactive mind so you can get your life together. You're struggling to have your life together, right? We'll help you get your life together at Scientology. Here we believe that when people are left to themselves and humans are left to themselves, they only behave better. And the reason why they don't is because they haven't done Scientology yet. And if they do Scientology, then Scientology is going to help them to be better. Because people are mostly good anyway. Right, all of this stuff to reel you in, yeah, I am mostly good. I'm just trying. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not to say that people aren't trying. And what I'm trying to say is that being in that state of being in need is exactly what predators look for. Predatorial people look for people like that, because all they have to do is figure out what you need, shapeshift it into what you need, and boom, they have you. That's the problem, right? And we live in a society where everybody's so desperate for answers, so desperate to understand what their purpose is, so desperate to understand why they've been put on this earth, so desperate to understand who they are, so desperate to understand, so many different things, that if somebody puts themselves in a position to say, hey, I got the answers and I can tell you about yourself and I can put your life together, everybody wants to know who they are. Now, the Bible tells us who we are. The Bible tells us who we are. And when you get to know God, he will show you and reveal to you who you are. In fact, he won't show you who you are. He will help you to become who you are. He won't need to tell you who you are. His work within you, the renewing of your mind that you'll experience, the experience you'll have of getting to know him and him talking to you and you developing a relationship will in and of itself bring out who you are. And you then will understand who you are. And God already tells us enough about who we are in the Bible, which doesn't require a lot of this weird desperation, xenu, hiding. That's what I like about God, I have to say, is that he keeps everything out there. There is no secret, confidential sectors of Christianity where once you've become serious enough and you've become an elder of the third degree or something, now you get to, oh gosh, sorry guys, it's an alarm on my watch which I keep forgetting to turn off properly. Anyway, you don't need that to be access the higher revelation. No, the whole thing is there for everybody. Everybody can have access to one of these bad boys right here. A Bible. You can go and get a Bible for free on the Bible app, on the App Store. You can go and buy a Bible. You can even, there's many places, many churches that give out free Bibles, which I think is great that churches are giving out free Bibles. This is the stuff we should be doing, right? Free. There is no higher something. There is no, oh, you go above this, and then when you get to another level, then a dove comes out from heaven, and then a book comes descending with gold papers to tell you now that you've reached level 500 of Christianity. No, but this is what a lot of these people do. It's a lot of religions are like that. I think the other one is the Jehovah's Witnesses. I made a note about this so I wouldn't forget. I made a note about this so I wouldn't forget. Where is it? Was it before I decided to fast? Yes, Jehovah's Witnesses, right? Also, guys, can I show you? I really want to show you guys. Can you see my new notebook? This is my next new notebook. How cute is this? Tell me this is not the cutest notebook. I like to pick a notebook every season that I feel like represents my season. You know? So this was the last season. I started this one in May. It's we're kind of over it now, right? And this is the new one. I love this. This is so cute. I like to pick one, like I said, that looks in season. Anyways, Jehovah's Witnesses, right? Even the Jehovah's Witnesses, it's the same thing. At a certain level, the main, and this is what I know when we're dealing with religiously culty things, when it gets to the point that at a certain level, the majority of the congregation doesn't know these conversations that are happening in secret. Now, there are conversations that need to happen in secret in certain scenarios. So, for example, if you are leading a local church, and there are issues in the church, some issues that are going on, if there is a serious problem, yes, should be discussed in private with leadership if it is a private matter to do with some of the members that you need to discuss what to do about, right? With God at the center of this conversation. What I'm saying is, when we're talking about these secret revelations of, oh, we can't tell you and answer your questions because you're not at that level yet, that is the issue. That is where we have issues, especially when we're misselling people stuff like with this, where you're saying, oh, no, when you get to the bottom of your understanding of when you get all the way back to removing your trauma from being born, now you're going to be free and be, completely alert and completely alert now with your reactive mind removed, and you could thrive and you can progress. And now we've done all the work, but then you turn out that that's a lie. Guys, that is manipulation, because they didn't tell you that there was another level. And if you'd known that there were more levels, you might have not been interested in signing up in the first place. But like I told you guys, the enemy doesn't fight fair. But the way the enemy does have to fight fair is through contracts. This is why I said sin is a contract itself, but real life contracts. That's why hopefully the next video, because now that I'm finally off work, for 2 days, today and tomorrow, I plan on watching that documentary by Leah Remini, which I've been saying I want to watch. And also, I wanted to watch that before I talk about this contract, this billionaire contract, by the way, because I have a lot to say. Also because I've seen scientists have been literally written papers on it. So I'm curious to see the conclusions and the things from these scholars, from what they've said in the scientific papers, the scientific journals and stuff. So I'm going to be reading those, doing a bit of research through those, because I love, I love a good scientific journal as a scientist myself. And so this $1 billion contract, again, the enemy, this is exactly how Satan does what he does. Gets you to sign the contract early on. Woohoo! I'm going to sort my life out. I'm on the journey. I'm part of this great community. They're helping me work through my trauma. I'm seeing some, benefits. Whoop, sign a $1 billion contract. But this is just what we all do. It's our eternal dedication to blah, 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 right? Yeah, And then you realize that they've lied to you. But guess what? You've already signed. It's too late now. You signed and said that you agree with the policies, and this is exactly what the enemy does. This is why we have these stupid things that we have to, these terms and conditions that we get sent, even when going on a website, the cookies thing. It's like, do you consent to such and such and such and such? And of course, they make these things to be so long that no one's going to sit and read every single one of everything. And they do that on purpose. Why? Because then if whatever they've got you to sign for or to agree to, which we all do, and we've all done it, right? Then you can't say anything because you've signed and you've agreed to it now. That's the point. That's exactly how the kingdom of darkness works. And when I become president, my first thing is that those stupid cookie things have to be maximum 7 bullet points. And if you can't put it into 7 bullet points, then there's an issue. If people are anyway, I'm kidding about when I'm president, but I would like for some of those types of changes to be made, though. On a serious note, we need to change some of this stuff because it's just not going to work. It's not going to work, is it? Right? Anyways, so my point being, oh gosh, Okay, anyway, my point being that this is what the enemy does. Gets you in on a contract early with something that you don't quite completely understand. Then later on, what they're selling you at the moment sounds good, right? It's the same with Hollywood. This is what they do, right? Oh, wow, you're a young artist. Yeah, we saw you online. This is what they do to Justin Bieber, because Justin Bieber was also found online, right? This is what they do with a lot of people, right? Oh, we found you. Yeah, we saw you online. We thought you were good. Yeah, come to Hollywood. And then you'd be like, oh, JoJo is a better example. JoJo is the best example because we've done videos on JoJo. Shout out to JoJo, man. Oh, man, I wish I'd had made more videos about her, but so much stuff has gone on, guys. My goodness. I'm so sorry for all the series that never continued that I wanted to continue, trust me, but I don't know. Just things are crazy, okay? Life is crazy. But JoJo is someone, you guys probably know her, the artist. Like, she started when she was like 13. She was making some of the greatest hits already. And she got swanned into the entertainment industry because her and her mom were going through tough times. They're offering her everything, right? And this is what they do. You're in a point of desperation. They get you to sign a contract. Right, at that young age, her and her mom, they were like, we're going to give you somewhere to stay. We're going to give you this contract deal. And it all turned out in the end that they were putting her on a diet as like a 13-year-old girl and everything. They were taking advantage to the extent that now as an adult, she doesn't even have rights to, I don't know if she just got the rights or if she still doesn't have the rights. I can't remember. I do have a JoJo playlist, so you guys can check out what I did talking about her. And she had to re-release her own music via calling them covers because her rights to her own music was held by somebody else because she had one of the worst contracts. Why? Because she was so young and so desperate. She was young and naive. She was 13. Her and her mom were going through tough times. And so it was even easier for them to make an exploitative contract for her. And by the time she's now old enough to know what's going on, it's too late now. This is exactly screams the kingdom of darkness. This is what I'm saying. They get you in on all this stuff. And then before you know it, when you're in Hollywood and then they're starting to get you to do all these weird demonic rituals and sacrifices and do all these weird Hollywood parties that are basically orgies and all this stuff that they do behind the scenes, right? In order to worship their gods of whatever they're doing. You're thinking, I didn't sign up for this. I just wanted to be a recording artist. I just wanted to make my music. So like the people in Scientology, I didn't sign up for this. I just wanted to, remove my reactive mind. I just wanted to, understand why I'm here. I just wanted to, progress in life and get myself onto a better path. And before you know it, you're figuring out that you've got all these thetans attached to you. You're actually come from a planet that was run by a galactic overlord called Xenu from 75 million years ago. And you have all these thetans attached to you, and you're a thetan who doesn't have the full access to your spiritual ability because of the mistake that you made, that you don't actually know what that mistake is. And now, even though you've gone all the way back to childhood and deleted everything, you now have to do this for however many thetans, for however long. And now, just like the scientists who are obsessively trying to prove that God doesn't exist, just like the religions that are obsessively trying to prove themselves as good in the eyes of man and good in the eyes of themselves rather than good in the heart, or aligning themselves as in submission unto a real true life living God, it takes you nowhere. And then you spend your whole entire life pursuing nothing and getting to nothing. And that's exactly what the enemy wants. And that's why I think L Ron Hubbard is a heinous man. I don't think, if I can conceptualize this from a distance, I haven't had his experiences. I'm looking at this as an observer. I'm looking at this as somebody who's new to Scientology. Let's think new to the concept of Scientology, not to Scientology. I'm not a Scientologist, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a Bible-believing, Holy Spirit-filled follower of Jesus, okay? Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. Thank you. And imagine if I'm seeing all this, the lighting. This is the classic thing that happens every day when it's just after 12. It's because of where the sun is, sun, anyway, it goes like this because the west is over there. So the sun is now traveling from here because it's midday. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, sorry about the lighting. But do you think that if I can conceptualize all of these things myself right now, as I'm sitting in front of you, as I'm early into my studying of the Scientology itself, well, into properly studying it, I've looked into it in the past, do you not think that it's not then possible for a heinous individual who has actually been observing people all over the world and who practiced this and had people that were believing in them? Do you really think it's not possible for that? Because actually think about that, because people are very quick to assume that people are so good and everybody's so automatically good. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that I wish that we were also equally as prepared that when people are not good, because it's actually unwise for us to just assume people are good or are as good as they present themselves, because the easiest thing to utilize to convince people of something is how you appear on the outside. It's the easiest way. That's why us as women, what do? The easiest way for us to be manipulative witches, seductresses, is to do what? Is to doll ourselves up, is to make ourselves look attractive. If we make ourselves look attractive, we know, whether admit it or not, that there is power in that of manipulation. There is manipulation power available when we behave in that type of manner. In the same way that as women, so I always talk about the deception of femininity, when we tap into our femininity and act like these innocent folks that could do nothing wrong ever and are just these lovely women who should be trusted. Yeah, that's another thing that we can tap into, right? Because it's trustworthy. It says nothing about who we are on the inside. It says nothing about who we are. So yes, a lot of the time, the people who are making themselves, I'm just using that as an example, by the way, guys. I don't hate women. I know it seems like I do sometimes. It's just that I talk about issues with women because I'm a woman. So I'm not a man. I don't have the experience of being a man to comment on men. Like I always say, I think if everybody deals with their own camp, we're all going to figure it out. If we all deal with our own group, if us amongst women deal with our own issues and the men deal with their issues, then we're all going to figure it out together. Everything's going to be better for everybody, right? So, yeah, I'm saying all of that to say, so our tendency as humanity to just assume that automatically that people in general are good. Now, I'm not saying have a pessimistic life outlook. That's not what I'm saying. Don't get it twisted. Don't go around assuming everybody's like out to get ya or something. But what I mean is, in wisdom, let people write their story and take them at face, and don't just take them at face value. Actually assess the situation, because for me, even just the way L Ron Hubbard conducted himself, the way that he was always laughing, his confidence, his demeanor was of somebody who was just kind of like, how am I really getting away with this in 4K? Like, how am I in 4K getting away with what I'm doing? People are actually doing this. People are actually falling for this. And when I hear this whole Xenu 75 million years ago had was overpopulated and therefore kicked out told people he was doing a tax audit and as a trick, and then kicked them out to planet Earth with disembodied spirits. It's like, excuse me? First of all, where did Xenu come from? Second of all, where does that story fit into the scientific understanding of the universe? Because I would be very interested to know exactly if that's even a probable theory as far as science's current understanding of what has gone on in the past, in the millions of years that so-called, according to science, that we've existed, or that the world has existed, or the solar system, or the universe, right? Yeah, I would love to understand where in that proportion Xenu comes into it. But these are the questions, again, that won't even matter when you've already signed the contract. You're already too far in, because now all you want to do is get out, which I'm sure we're going to be talking more about that as I catch up a lot more with some of the stories of the actual people involved. But, you know, like I said, I'm also going to be making a big focus on the doctrine and on the people who are running this thing and who are at the top. Because what I found with a lot of things that go on, especially with the Kingdom of Darkness, is the Kingdom of Darkness is great at getting us to talk about an overall problem without being able to find the source and the root, that to rip it out from the root, right? So I'm not just here to cut down trees where the stump is still left and the roots are still growing. I'm trying to get to the roots, and we're trying to rip those roots out, right? Anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts of this. This has been day 6 of our Scientology, extra deep Scientology research. As part of the 22-day trilogy. If you guys don't know what that is, please go and check. Sorry, I'm trying to go away from this light because it's bothering me. Our 22-day trilogy. So that's all I've got to say to you guys for now. Let me know your thoughts, because if life's a game, let's play to win. If you don't know what this whole thing is about, check out the first video in the Scientology playlist, which you will see on my channel, where I'm putting all the videos in there. So thank you guys so much for watching, because if life's a game, let's play to win. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts in the comments and anything you guys think I need to see and cover. I will be adding these things to the list of things I will be looking at. God bless every single one of you. I don't know if I said it already, but I'm saying it again. If life's a game, then let's play to win. God bless you. I love you all, and I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.